So I've worked on my practice ones. I've got two revised pictures here to turn into Google Classroom. My two original, my soup and my tacos. This one needed to be leveled, and this one needed the hue saturation, the saturation reduced a little bit. You can see that I have the original Photoshop files that I saved as well, allowing me to go back and adjust the adjustments so that they're not stuck on those. Let's take a look at my actual pictures. I can see that they're all numbered. I actually have two number 3s trying to decide which one I'm going to use there, but all my dimensions are big enough and they're all documented correctly. So one thing we might do here is change to the large icons so we can decide what we want to edit. When you have a picture that needs to be edited, you're going to right click and then open with Photoshop. Again, you may need to choose another app and it will go and try and find. You may have to always do more apps. Once you get Photoshop chosen once, then you'll be okay. It'll show up there. Don't click this box because you don't want to always open Photoshop every time you click on a JPEG. So this picture right here actually looks pretty good. You can see that I've got the layers visible here. These will get kind of mixed up. You can go to Window, Workspace, and you can reset when things get kind of out of control. That will reset your workspace. So I've got my background image here. I need to add an adjustment layer. Layer, new adjustment layer, and basically I want you to try and level each one of these. You can see from the histogram that the different shades of the pixels are actually in pretty good shape, but if we make the darks a little darker, not too far, but bring it in a little bit, and then maybe the whites can be a little bit wider, and then I can just adjust this until that looks tastier. Let me move that over because I can turn the adjustment layer on and off and say, yes, I like this better. So I'm going to file and save a Photoshop version of this. It's the first one in the project folder, so you don't see the others. I'm just going to keep the name the same. And then I want to save a JPEG version of this to actually use in the video. So File, Save As, and I'd like you to insert after the number of the picture the word edited. And that will indicate that this is, and choose JPEG, the one that we really want to use in the video. And just leave it on 10. It makes a good average size of JPEG, and you can see that now I've got an edited version that looks a little bit better. If you look at these on Details view, you can see I have my original. There's a Photoshop version that I use to make the adjustments, and then this is the one that's going to go into the Final Images folder. You can make that once you have made all of your edits, and then you'll move the ones that you want to use in your video into that folder as a final step. Let's take a look at these others. If we take a look by double clicking on them, it'll open it up in Photos where we can get a good view, and this one does not need to be leveled. It's a professionally done picture and it is already about as good as it can get. So let me concentrate on the ones that could use a little help, and this one really could use some help. The color's not there. It just doesn't look as appetizing as it could. Inside of the photo viewer, I can also say right click, open with, and choose Photoshop. Now the other picture is still there, so if you don't want this to get all clogged up here, you can go ahead and close that once you've saved. So I'm going to do some adjustment layers here. Layer, new adjustment layer. Let's start with levels. You can see it adds the layer here. Here's the histogram, and we're going to make the darks darker, not too much or we'll lose a lot of detail. And then the lights, bring the lights up a little bit as well. Maybe not quite so much. Usually you bring these where the graph starts to go up. In this case, it's a pretty even graph. That still isn't everything we need for this particular picture. I'm also going to go and make a new adjustment layer for hue and saturation. And I'm going to increase the saturation a little bit. I'm going to bring some of that color up. Not crazy, but bring it up a little bit. And you can see before and after. Hopefully in the video you'll be able to tell. Now I can click and drag on the two eyeballs that I want to go and show a before and an after. And this looks a lot better for video purposes. So I'm going to file and save this as a Photoshop version. You can see the one that we did earlier. And then I'm going to do a file, save as, and put the word edited, because this one has been changed, and save it as a JPEG. I'm going to leave the quality at 10. If you max it out, you can see it's going to make a very large image. If you bring it all the way to the left, you should be able to see a preview. Yeah, it actually is compressing it quite a bit, but we would need to be zoomed in order to be able to tell just how small and low quality that is. Just as a general rule, leave it at 10 and we're in good shape. So now when I look in my project folder, I can see 3 number 1s. Number 2 is A-OK. I can see that I've worked on the Seattle dog, and I've got an edited version of that. So if I decide I don't want to use that one, I can delete it, or I can move it into another folder. But when we're done and we have all our pictures done, then we're going to make the final images folder. We'll take a look at that next.